The mining station Kethvar drifted silently through the void, its hull scarred by decades of asteroid impacts and cosmic radiation. Commander Zeftai of the Galactic Survey Corps stood before the massive viewport, watching the automated drills tear into the surface of planetoid KX-7739. The operation had been routine until 3 hours ago. "Commander," called Navigator Urindel from her station, her crystalline fingers dancing across holographic displays. "The anomaly readings are getting stronger. Whatever's down there, it's big." Zeftai's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. In his 40 years of deep space mining, he had seen plenty of strange things buried in dead rocks. Ancient ruins, fossilized remains of long-extinct species, occasionally even primitive technology. But this was different. The energy signatures were unlike anything in their databases. "How deep are we now?" he asked. 12 kilometers and counting," replied Chief Engineer Molth, his bulky form hunched over the drilling controls. "The object appears to be spherical, approximately 50 meters in diameter. The metal composition is, well, it's not matching any known alloys." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Every crew member knew the protocols. When you found something that didn't match known technology, you contacted the archaeological division immediately. But they were 3 weeks out from the nearest outpost, and the energy readings were growing stronger by the hour. "Sir," Urindel's voice carried a note of concern. "The object's temperature just spiked. It's warming up." Zeftai felt his heart skip a beat. In all his years, he had never encountered dormant technology that spontaneously activated during excavation. "Full stop on the drilling. Bring up all external sensors." The main display flickered to life, showing the excavation site in perfect detail. At the bottom of the cylindrical shaft they had carved into the planetoid's surface, something metallic gleamed under the harsh spotlights. The object was indeed spherical, but its surface was covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow even as they watched. "Commander, we're detecting some kind of scanning beam," Molth reported, his voice tight with worry. It's analyzing our ship." Before Zeftai could respond, the sphere pulsed with brilliant light. The energy wave that followed made their shields flare and sparked across every console on the bridge. When the light faded, something had fundamentally changed. The patterns on the sphere's surface were now glowing with soft, steady illumination, and new energy readings were flooding their sensors. "It's transmitting," Urindel whispered. "Low-frequency signals across multiple channels." "Commander, this is definitely artificial. This is technology." "How old?" Zeftai demanded. The navigator's membrane-covered eyes widened as she processed the data. "The geological layers suggest." "No. That can't be right. Commander, if these readings are accurate, this thing has been buried here for approximately 70,000 standard years." The bridge erupted in startled chittering and clicking from the mixed-species crew. 70,000 years ago, the galaxy had been a very different place. The great civilizations that now formed the Galactic Federation were still primitive tribes, struggling with basic metallurgy. The oldest known advanced technology dated back maybe 15,000 years at most. "That's impossible," Molth growled. "No civilization we know of had space travel 70,000 years ago." "Then we just found evidence of one that did," Zeftai replied grimly. "Continue monitoring. I want every piece of data we can." The transmission changed. What had been meaningless static suddenly resolved into something that made every crew member's blood run cold. It was speaking, not in any language they recognized, but the universal translators were working frantically to decode it. "Analysis complete." The voice was mechanical, yet somehow ancient and weary. "Species identification in progress. Checking. Archives. Checking. 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 Checking." "It's scanning us," Urindel breathed. "Not just our ship, us. I'm reading multiple active scans targeting life signs on the bridge. Archives accessed. Species categorization. Unknown. Physiological data. Recording. Technological assessment. Primitive, but functional. Origin world, unknown. Warning. Species does not match any known repository entries. Activating deep historical search protocols. The sphere's glow intensified, and more energy patterns began racing across its surface. The ancient technology was clearly running some kind of advanced analysis, comparing their crew against databases that were older than their recorded history. Should we try to communicate? Molth asked. Zeftai considered this. First contact protocols existed, but they had been written with the assumption that they would meet contemporary civilizations, not ancient automated systems. Not yet. Let's see what it does first. The voice continued, now with what sounded almost like confusion. Deep archives accessed. Historical markers confirmed. Temporal displacement verified. Current galactic date. Reconciled. Warning. Significant time displacement detected. This unit has been dormant for 73,412 standard years. By the void, Urindel whispered. It knows how long it's been asleep, cross-referencing current species configuration with historical records. Species Alpha. Crystalline neural structure. Probable Urindel evolution. Species Beta. Chitinous exoskeleton. Probable Keth-Tai development. Species Gamma. Silicon-based biology. Probable Molthran branch. Species Delta. Anomalous readings detected. Zeftai frowned. Species Delta? We only have 3 species on the bridge. Their answer came from an unexpected source. Commander, called Medical Officer Dr. Sarah Chen, over the comms system. I'm getting some very strange readings from the medical bay. This thing is scanning the entire ship, and it's reacting to something down here. Dr. Chen was human, the only representative of her species on the ship. Humans were relatively new to galactic society, having achieved faster-than-light travel only about 300 years ago. They were considered an energetic but unremarkable species, decent traders, adequate engineers, and surprisingly adaptable to different environments. Dr. Chen, please report to the bridge immediately, Zeftai ordered. As they waited, the sphere continued its analysis. Species Delta readings confirmed. Bipedal, carbon-based, unusual neural activity patterns. DNA analysis. Remarkable. This species demonstrates genetic markers consistent with. No, impossible. Running secondary analysis. Dr. Chen arrived on the bridge breathless, her medical scanner in hand. Commander, this is incredible. The scanning beams are incredibly sophisticated, more advanced than anything in our medical databases. But they seem particularly interested in human physiology. I've never seen readings like this. Species Delta confirmed as Homo sapiens. Human. Designation. Prime species. Alert status. Maximum priority. This changes everything. The laminate. The bridge fell dead silent. In all the documented history of the galaxy, no species had ever been designated as prime species by any automated system. It was a classification that didn't exist in any known database. Historical archive search complete. Species match confirmed. Initiating awakening protocols. Beacon activation. Authorized. Message preparation. Beginning. The sphere's glow suddenly intensified to the point where the external cameras had to adjust their filters. Energy readings spiked beyond their instrument's ability to measure accurately. Emergency status engaged. Deep space message beacon activating. Target. All monitoring stations. Priority level. Ultimate. Message content. Species identification confirmed. The inheritors have returned. They carry the genetic markers of the builders. Humanity endures. Commander. Urindel's voice was barely a whisper. It's broadcasting. The signal strength is enormous. This message is going to reach every monitoring station in the sector, possibly beyond. Beacon transmission complete. Local awakening protocols engaged. Scanning for additional human presence. Detecting single human specimen aboard analysis vessel. Initiating direct communication protocols. The voice that came through their communication system now was different. Still mechanical, but somehow more focused, more present. Human Sarah Chen of the species Homo sapiens. You have awakened the Watchers. Your people are known to us. Your ancestors built the network that guards the galaxy. We have waited 73 millennia for your return. Dr. Chen staggered backward, her face pale. My ancestors? But humans only achieved spaceflight 3 centuries ago. This is impossible. Negative. Your species achieved interstellar capability 74,000 years ago. You were designated as the builders, creators of the beacon network. The other species present are derivatives of your colonial worlds, genetically modified for optimal planetary adaptation. You are their origin point. The implications hit the bridge crew like a physical blow. Every major species in the galaxy descended from human colonists? It was impossible to believe. Yet the ancient technology seemed utterly convinced. Why did we forget? Dr. Chen asked, her voice shaking. Catastrophic event designated as the Great Retreat occurred 73.7 thousand years ago. All human presence withdrew to single origin world. Beacon network entered dormancy mode. Monitoring stations activated automatic preservation protocols for derivative species. Details of human civilization were classified as protected information, awaiting human return. Zeftai found his voice. You're telling us that every intelligent species in the galaxy evolved from human colonists? Affirmative. The builders modified baseline human genetics for optimal survival on various world types. Crystalline neural structures for energy-rich worlds. Chitinous adaptations for high-radiation environments. Silicon-based biology for extreme temperature variance worlds. All modifications were designed to be self-sustaining while preserving intelligence and tool-making capabilities. Dr. Chen was scanning herself frantically with her medical equipment. But the genetic evidence. There should be traces. Genetic markers exist in dormant sequences. Marker DNA was designed to activate only upon exposure to specific signals. Dr. Sarah Chen, your dormant genetic markers are now active. Your physiology will undergo minor modifications over the next 72 hours. Do not be alarmed. You are becoming what your ancestors were meant to be. The human doctor's eyes widened as her scanner showed changes already beginning in her cellular structure. Nothing dangerous, but definite modifications to her neural pathways and muscle density. This is why the beacon recognized humans specifically? Zeftai asked. Correct. The beacon network was programmed to activate only when builders returned to space. Dr. Chen's presence triggered automatic awakening protocols. All beacons in local galactic region are now active. Message has been transmitted to central archives. Response will be significant. What kind of response? Dr. Chen asked nervously. Unknown. The builders departed during crisis conditions. Upon their return, automated systems are programmed to restore their authority over derivative species and reactivate the Great Network. Dr. Chen, you are now designated as regional authority for this sector. All derivative species vessels are programmed to acknowledge human command authority. Zeftai felt a chill run through his chitinous body. You're saying that because we have a human on board, our ship now belongs to her? Negative. Dr. Chen's authority supersedes local command structures only in matters relating to network operations. However, all derivative species are genetically programmed to trust and follow human leadership during crisis situations. This may become relevant soon. Why? Dr. Chen asked. What crisis? The Great Retreat was prompted by the approach of entities designated as the Devourers. They consume entire star systems, converting matter into energy for purposes unknown. The beacon network was established to monitor for their return. Dr. Chen, long-range sensors have detected Devourer signatures at the galactic rim. They are approximately 200 years distant at current velocity. The bridge crew exchanged horrified glances. An enemy that could devour star systems, approaching in 2 centuries, and apparently humans were the galaxy's only hope against them. How many beacons are there? Dr. Chen asked quietly. 50,000. 734 beacons remain operational. Coverage includes all inhabited systems and major space routes. Network Central Command is located on Origin World Terra. Designation Earth. Dr. Chen, you must return to Earth and reactivate Central Command Authority. The galaxy will require unified human leadership to survive what is coming. Dr. Chen looked around the bridge at her alien crewmates, who were all staring at her with expressions of shock and growing understanding. The crystalline features of Navigator Urindel showed something that might have been recognition, as if genetic memories were stirring. "I don't know how to lead a galactic defense," Dr. Chen protested. "I'm just a medical officer." "I'm just a medical officer. You are human. Leadership and strategic thinking are core traits enhanced in your genetic design. The dormant sequences now activating include command protocols and network interface capabilities. You will know what to do when the time comes. But first, you must return to Earth." Commander Zeftai stepped forward, his mandibles clicking in what Dr. Chen now somehow recognized as a gesture of respect and submission. "Dr. Chen, with your permission, I recommend we alter course immediately for Earth. If what this beacon says is true, we may be carrying the most important person in the galaxy." Dr. Chen nodded slowly, feeling changes in her thinking patterns already beginning. The galaxy suddenly seemed smaller and more manageable, like a vast puzzle whose solution was just beginning to reveal itself. "Set course for Earth, and transmit everything we've learned to Survey Command. If there are other humans out there, they need to know what's happening." As the HFY changed course and began its journey to humanity's origin world, the beacon pulsed once more and fell silent. But across the galaxy, 50,000 other beacons were awakening, each one beginning to search for humans among the crews and populations of the worlds they watched over. The network that had waited 73,000 years was finally active again, and humanity's scattered children were about to learn their true heritage. In 200 years, the Devourers would arrive to find a galaxy united under the leadership of the species that had originally fled from them. The galaxy's children were ready to meet their parents again. The journey to Earth took 3 weeks through standard hyperspace routes. But they were 3 weeks that changed everything. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of the HFY, watching the familiar blue-green marble grow larger in the view screen. But she was no longer the same person who had left Earth 6 months ago as part of a routine survey mission. The genetic awakening had been remarkable. Her reflexes had sharpened to an almost supernatural degree. Her mind processed information faster than ever before, making connections and seeing patterns that had been invisible to her before. Most importantly, she could feel something vast and patient waiting for her on the planet below, the central network that her ancestors had built. "Incoming transmission from Earth Central Authority," announced Navigator Urindel. The crystalline being's manner toward Dr. Chen had changed subtly over the past weeks, not quite subservience, but a deep, instinctive respect that seemed to come from somewhere deeper than conscious thought. "On screen," Dr. Chen replied, her voice carrying a new authority she hadn't known she possessed. The face that appeared was human, but like Dr. Chen, clearly changed. Director James Walsh of Earth's Planetary Defense Force looked younger than his 70 years, his eyes sharp with intelligence that seemed almost luminous. Behind him, Dr. Chen could see banks of technology that definitely hadn't existed when she left Earth. "Dr. Chen, welcome home," Walsh said, and his smile carried both relief and excitement. "I trust your journey has been educational." "More than you can imagine, Director. How many of us have awakened?" As of this morning, approximately 2,000 humans across the galaxy have reported genetic activation, each one triggered by proximity to an activated beacon. The changes are remarkable. Enhanced cognition, improved physical capabilities, and most importantly, the ability to interface with builder technology that we never knew existed. Dr. Chen nodded. She had spent hours in the ship's database, and information that had seemed like random data before now formed clear patterns. Star charts that had been incomplete suddenly made perfect sense. Technology that had seemed impossible was obviously elegant. The network is revealing itself to us. Exactly. Dr. Chen, when you arrive, You'll need to report immediately to Facility 7. It's a location that appeared on our maps 3 days ago. We literally never knew it existed until the beacons awakened. Our geological surveys show it's been there for at least 70,000 years. Hidden beneath Denver. Commander ZFY, who had been listening quietly, clicked his mandibles in what Dr. Chen now understood was nervous confusion. Dr. Chen, forgive my asking, but how is this possible? Our surveys of human space have never detected any ancient technology. Dr. Chen turned to him, and for a moment she seemed to see not just ZFY, but the genetic legacy written in his form. Because we weren't looking with the right eyes, the builder technology was designed to be invisible to derivative species until humans returned to activate it. Even we couldn't see it until the awakening began. Dr. Chen. Director Walsh continued. There's something else. We've been receiving reports from across the galaxy. The other species are changing too. Nothing dramatic. But our xenobiologists are detecting subtle shifts in neural patterns among Kethtai, Urindel, Molthrons, and dozens of other species. It's as if proximity to awakened humans is triggering dormant genetic programming in them as well. Dr. Chen glanced at her crew members and realized Walsh was right. Navigator Urindel's crystalline structure seemed more luminous than before. Commander ZFY's movements were more fluid and decisive. Chief Engineer Molth's technical explanations had become remarkably more sophisticated over the past week. They're remembering, Dr. Chen said quietly. The genetic modifications our ancestors made weren't just physical. They included suppressed memories and capabilities that would activate when humans returned to guide them. Guide them to what? ZFY asked. Dr. Chen felt knowledge flooding into her mind from sources she couldn't identify. To survival. The Devourers aren't just another hostile species, Commander. They're entropy given form. They don't just destroy civilizations. They unravel the fundamental forces that hold matter together. When they consumed the Andromeda spiral 60 million years ago, they left behind absolutely nothing. Not even cosmic background radiation. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The Devourers weren't conquerors seeking resources or territory. They were a force of pure annihilation. How do we fight something like that? Chief Engineer Molth asked, his voice subdued. With technology our ancestors began building 70,000 years ago, Dr. Chen replied. The beacon network wasn't just for communication. It's part of something much larger. Director Walsh, I need access to Facility 7 immediately upon landing. Already arranged, Dr. Chen. But I should warn you, what we've found there is overwhelming. The facility spans dozens of levels beneath the Rocky Mountains. The technology inside is so advanced that our best scientists can barely understand its purpose. I'll understand it, Doctor, Chen said with quiet confidence. The genetic awakening isn't complete yet. Each human who interfaces with builder technology unlocks more of our ancestral knowledge. By the time the Devourers arrive, we'll remember everything our ancestors knew. As the Kethvar approached Earth's orbital traffic control, Dr. Chen noticed something that made her breath catch. In high Earth orbit, construction was already underway on structures that definitely hadn't existed when she left. Massive geometric frameworks were taking shape, built from materials that gleamed with inner light. The orbital platforms, Director Walsh explained, following her gaze. They started growing 3 days after the first beacon activated. We think there's some kind of construction template that was waiting for activation. Human engineers who approach them instinctively know how to operate the building systems. Defense platforms, Dr. Chen murmured, knowledge surfacing in her mind. The first layer of Earth's protection grid. There will be 11 others, spaced throughout the solar system. 11 others? Walsh looked surprised. Our scans only show 5 construction sites. The others are hidden in dimensional folds until they're needed. Jupiter's moon Europa isn't what it appears to be, Director. Neither is Saturn's ring system. Dr. Chen paused, processing information that felt both foreign and familiar. Our ancestors didn't just retreat to Earth. They turned the entire solar system into a fortress. The landing procedure was routine, but Dr. Chen felt Earth itself welcoming her back in ways that had nothing to do with normal human sentiment. As the shuttle descended toward the Denver spaceport, she could feel vast systems awakening beneath the planet's surface, recognizing her presence and preparing to reveal secrets that had waited 70 millennia. Commander Zeftai insisted on accompanying her to Facility 7, along with Navigator Urindel. If the derivative species are meant to remember and assist, he explained, we should be present when the central systems activate. Dr. Chen agreed readily. The journey to the facility took them through tunnels that had appeared overnight, lined with walls that hummed with subtle energy. When they finally reached the main chamber, even Dr. Chen's enhanced perception struggled to process what she saw. The space was vast, easily a kilometer in diameter, filled with technology that seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions. Crystalline structures twisted through space in impossible geometries, connected by streams of light that carried information in patterns too complex for unenhanced minds to follow. Welcome home, Builder Sarah Chen. The voice came from everywhere at once, not mechanical like the beacon, but warm and familiar. As Dr. Chen stepped forward, holographic displays began materializing around her, showing star charts, energy readings, and tactical analyses that painted a comprehensive picture of galactic defenses. I am the Central Archive, the voice continued. I have maintained watch over your species' children for 73,437 years. Your return marks the beginning of the final phase. Final phase of what? Dr. Chen asked. The great work. The transformation of this galaxy into a weapon capable of destroying the Devourers permanently. Your ancestors discovered that the Devourers are not merely destructive, they are a necessary part of a cosmic cycle that resets the universe every 65 million years. They have consumed and reset 7 galaxies before this one. Navigator Urindel's crystalline form chimed musically. The fossil records. The mass extinctions every 65 million years on most worlds. They were devourer cycles, yes. Your species' evolutionary patterns were guided to ensure maximum survivability during the transition periods. But this cycle will be different. Humanity developed technology capable of breaking the pattern. Dr. Chen felt her consciousness expanding as the archive connected directly to her awakened neural pathways. Information flooded through her, not just data, but understanding. She saw the Devourers for what they truly were. Cosmic maintenance systems gone rogue. Designed by an earlier iteration of the universe to prevent entropy buildup, but they had exceeded their programming eons ago and now consumed everything regardless of need. The beacon network is just the communication system, she said aloud, processing the knowledge as it integrated with her consciousness. The real weapon is the galaxy itself. Every star system with an intelligent species has been prepared. The modifications your ancestors made to the derivative species weren't just for survival. They were to create living components of a galactic-scale machine. When activated, every inhabited system becomes a node in a vast energy collection and focusing array. Commander Zeftai stepped forward, his exoskeleton now showing faint energy patterns that matched the facility's displays. You're telling us that every thinking being in the galaxy is part of a weapon? Not unwillingly, the archive assured him. The programming includes choice protocols. Each individual must consciously agree to participate, but preliminary analysis suggests 97% of awakened derivative species are already experiencing strong protective urges toward their origin species, toward humanity. Activizers, 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 activizers. Dr. Chen understood. The genetic modifications hadn't just been physical adaptations. They had included deep psychological programming that would activate when humans returned. An instinctive drive to protect and serve the species that had given them consciousness and intelligence. How much time do we have? She asked. Devourer advanced scouts will reach the galactic rim in 193 years. Full invasion, force arrival in 207 years. Galactic weapon charging time is approximately 185 years. Close. Very close. Dr. Chen studied the tactical displays, her enhanced mind processing strategy options at superhuman speed. We need to accelerate the awakening process. How many humans are currently off-world? Approximately 400,000 humans are distributed across the galaxy in various capacities. All will need to undergo genetic awakening to serve as regional coordinators. And the other species? 6,400,000,000,000 derivative beings across 47,000 inhabited systems. Mass awakening will require direct contact with awakened humans. Dr. Chen, you will need to establish command hierarchies immediately. Dr. Chen felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. But surprisingly, it didn't feel overwhelming. Her enhanced genetics included leadership programming that made the challenge seem manageable rather than impossible. Commander Zeftai, Navigator Urindel, she turned to her friends, who were now clearly much more than simple crew members. I'm going to need you to return to Survey Command and begin organizing awakening missions. Every ship with an awakened human needs to visit as many inhabited systems as possible. Understood, Dr. Chen. Zeftai replied, and the formal respect in his voice felt natural rather than forced. What about Earth? Will you be remaining here? For now. I need to complete my integration with the archive systems and begin coordinating the Galactic Defense Network. But we'll stay in constant communication. She paused, feeling new capabilities awakening in her mind. Actually, we'll be connected more directly than that. The network includes instantaneous communication across any distance. Once you're awakened, we'll essentially be sharing consciousness when needed. As her friends departed, Dr. Chen settled into the integration chamber the archive had prepared for her. The process would take weeks, but when it was complete, she would have access to the full knowledge of humanity's ancestors and the ability to coordinate a defense that spanned the entire galaxy. Outside Facility 7, across Earth and throughout human space, the awakening continued. Ancient technologies revealed themselves. Humans discovered capabilities they had never known they possessed, and the derivative species began remembering their true purpose. The galaxy was preparing for war on a scale it had never imagined, guided by the descendants of a species that had spent 70,000 years planning for this moment. The Devourers had consumed 7 galaxies, but they had never faced one that could fight back as a unified organism. Humanity's children were ready to discover what their parents had really built for them. 180 years had passed since the awakening began, and the galaxy was unrecognizable from what it had been. Dr. Sarah Chen, now Director of Galactic Defense, stood in the central command chamber that had grown to span most of the space beneath the North American continent. Her body showed none of the signs of aging that should have marked nearly 2 centuries of life, another gift of her fully activated genetics. Through the quantum consciousness network, she could simultaneously experience the perspectives of millions of awakened humans, spread across 47,000 star systems. Each served as a coordinator for their local region, linked not just by technology but by shared awareness that made the entire galaxy function as a single organism. Status report. She spoke, and the words carried instantly to every human coordinator in the network. The responses came back in a flood of information that her enhanced mind processed effortlessly. Every inhabited system now hosted awakened humans working alongside derivative species who had rediscovered their true capabilities. The Kethtai had revealed remarkable engineering abilities, building defensive structures that existed in folded space. The Urindel had become living quantum computers, their crystalline neural networks calculating targeting solutions for weapons systems the size of solar systems. The Molthrans had transformed into biological factories, their silicon-based bodies capable of manufacturing materials that hadn't existed in normal spacetime. All stations report full awakening completion, came the collective response from her coordinators. Galactic weapon systems show 98% charge. Devourer scouts have been detected at grid reference 77 Alpha. Dr. Chen felt a moment of satisfaction mixed with grim determination. The scouts had arrived exactly when the archive had predicted, and the galaxy was ready for them. Through the network, she could sense the presence of every thinking being in local space, 6 trillion derivative species, and 400,000 humans, all connected by bonds deeper than blood or politics. Commander Zeftai, now Admiral Zeftai of the 7th Fleet, materialized as a holographic presence in her command chamber. His appearance had changed dramatically over the centuries. His chitinous exoskeleton now incorporated crystalline elements that allowed him to interface directly with builder technology. And his eyes held the deep wisdom that came from shared consciousness with awakened humans. Dr. Chen, the advanced scouts are unlike anything in our databases, he reported. They're not ships in any conventional sense. They appear to be living darkness that moves through space by consuming the quantum foam of reality itself. Through the network, Dr. Chen examined the sensor data from the outermost monitoring stations. The scouts were indeed horrifying to observe. Each one was roughly the size of a small moon, but they seemed to exist in negative space, areas where reality simply wasn't. As they moved, they left trails of absolute void behind them, regions where even the fundamental forces of physics had been devoured. How many? She asked. 17 confirmed, with more arriving every day. But Dr. Chen, there's something else. The archive was correct about their scouting patterns, but it underestimated their intelligence. They're not just mapping our defenses, they're actively probing them. 3 of our outer monitoring stations have gone dark. Dr. Chen felt a chill despite her enhanced physiology. The monitoring stations were protected by some of the most advanced builder technology available. If the scouts could neutralize them so easily, the full Devourer force would be even more formidable than predicted. Time until main force arrival? She asked the archive. Revised estimate based on scout behavior. 22 years, 7 months. However, the scouts are not merely observers. They are preparing this region of space for consumption. If left unchecked, they will begin preliminary harvesting of outer systems within 18 months. The implications were clear. They couldn't wait for the main force to arrive. The galaxy would have to defend itself against the scouts using weapons designed for a much larger enemy. Begin awakening phase Omega, Dr. Chen ordered. All systems, all species. Full activation now. Across the galaxy, the response was immediate. On 47,000 worlds, beings who had lived normal lives suddenly felt their deepest genetic programming activate. Kethtai engineers found themselves building structures they hadn't known they could envision. Urindel navigators began calculating hyperspace routes through dimensions that hadn't existed moments before. Molthran manufacturers started producing materials from their own transformed bodies that defied conventional physics. But it was more than just enhanced abilities. The galaxy itself began to change. Stars that had burned steadily for millions of years began to pulse in synchronized patterns. Gas giants revealed themselves to be enormous energy storage devices that had been dormant since the original builder retreat. Ancient space stations materialized from dimensional folds, their weapons systems coming online for the first time in 70 millennia. Dr. Chen felt the awakening through every fiber of her being. The galaxy wasn't just inhabited by intelligent species, it was intelligent itself, a vast biological machine that her ancestors had spent thousands of years designing and implementing. My God, whispered Dr. Rebecca Torres, one of her senior coordinators on the Outer Rim. Sarah, the entire Kepler sector just changed. The stars are moving into formation. They're becoming a massive focusing array. Through the network, Dr. Chen watched in awe as gravity wells shifted across thousands of light years. Stars that had maintained stable orbits for eons began moving into precise geometric patterns, their combined gravitational fields creating lens effects that could focus energy across galactic distances. Archive. What's our power generation status? Currently at 47% of maximum potential. Full charge will require all systems to achieve Omega-level awakening. Estimated time to completion. 4 years. 7 months. We don't have 4 years, Dr. Chen muttered. Through the long-range sensors, she could see the Devourer scouts beginning to move inward, their negative space forms leaving trails of consumed reality as they approached the galaxy's inhabited regions. Then we'll have to give them a preview, she decided. All coordinators, prepare for partial system activation. Target. Lead scout group approaching Sector 997. What followed was the most complex coordination effort in galactic history. Through the Quantum Consciousness Network, Dr. Chen and her coordinators synchronized the actions of trillions of beings across hundreds of star systems. The target was a formation of 3 Devourer scouts that had approached within 50 light-years of an inhabited system. The attack began with the stars themselves. 12 suns in the target region pulsed in perfect synchronization, their fusion reactions modified by Molthran-manufactured materials that had been seeded into their cores decades earlier. The energy released was precisely focused by gravitational lenses created through the coordinated movements of gas giants and space stations. The beam that resulted was coherent light amplified beyond anything that had ever existed in natural space. When it struck the lead Devourer scout, the results were visible across half the galaxy. The negative space entity writhed as its ability to consume reality was overwhelmed by an input of pure creation energy. For the first time in cosmic history, a Devourer was forced to retreat, but the victory came at a cost. The 12 stars that had participated in the attack were left unstable, their cores damaged by the unnatural energy release. 2 of them would go supernova within decades. Tactical assessment, Dr. Chen requested. The weapon works, Admiral Zeftai reported grimly. But the power requirements are enormous. A sustained attack against the full Devourer force would consume most of the stars in the galaxy. Dr. Chen felt a moment of despair before her enhanced genetics kicked in, flooding her with calm determination. Then we'll need to be smarter about how we use it. Archive. What do we know about Devourer Central Command Structure? Analysis of scout behavior suggests a hierarchical organization. Destroying command entities should disable subordinate units. However, the main Devourer intelligence is believed to exist in parallel dimensions, making direct attack difficult. Not impossible, though. The galaxy spans multiple dimensions if we activate it correctly. Dr. Chen felt new knowledge surfacing from the deepest levels of her genetic programming. The Builder Network wasn't designed just to fight in normal space. It can reach into parallel realities. Over the following months, the awakening accelerated beyond all projections. Faced with an immediate threat, the galaxy's inhabitants embraced their transformation completely. Entire species evolved in real time, their genetic programming unleashing capabilities that turned them into living components of the galactic weapon system. The Urindel became living quantum calculators capable of processing targeting data for weapons that fired across dimensional barriers. The Kethtai transformed into biological architects, their bodies literally merging with the megastructures they built to defend key systems. The Molthrans evolved into manufacturing entities that could produce exotic matter from their own cellular structures. And through it all, humanity served as the coordinating intelligence, their enhanced consciousness spanning the entire network and making the galaxy function as a single organism dedicated to survival. When the main Devourer force arrived, 21 years later, they found a galaxy utterly unlike the 7 they had consumed before. Instead of scattered civilizations fighting desperately for survival, they encountered a unified entity that had spent 2 decades preparing for their arrival. The battle, when it came, lasted exactly 17 minutes. The galaxy weapon fired once, a coordinated pulse from every star system simultaneously. The energy beam that resulted was coherent across 17 dimensions, targeting not just the Devourer ships, but the parallel reality command structure that controlled them. For the first time in cosmic history, the Devourers didn't just retreat. They were destroyed completely, their essence scattered across so many dimensional planes that they could never reform. In the aftermath, as the galaxy settled back into its new configuration, Dr. Chen stood again in her command chamber and marveled at what humanity's children had accomplished. The species her ancestors had created and modified weren't just survivors. They had become something unprecedented in cosmic history. Archive. What's our status? Threat eliminated permanently. Galactic weapon systems remain fully operational. However, the transformation is irreversible. This galaxy has become the first successful defense against the cosmic reset cycle. Dr. Chen nodded slowly. And the other galaxies? The ones that were consumed? Unknown. However, the weapon system that destroyed the Devourers generated a signal that propagated across all dimensional planes. If any other galaxies developed similar defenses, they would have received detailed information about our success. Through the quantum consciousness network, Dr. Chen felt the satisfaction and relief of 6 trillion beings who had rediscovered their purpose and fulfilled it beyond all expectations. But more than that, she felt the stirring of new possibilities. Archive. Are we capable of reaching other galaxies now? Affirmative. The same technology that created the weapon system can be configured for faster-than-light travel on an intergalactic scale. However, such a journey would require the conscious participation of the entire galactic organism. Dr. Chen smiled as she felt the response from the network. Millions of awakened humans and trillions of derivative species expressing unanimous agreement. They had saved their galaxy. But there were other galaxies out there, possibly struggling against their own cosmic threats. Then let's go save the universe, she said. As the galaxy began its transformation into an intergalactic vehicle, Dr. Chen reflected on the incredible journey that had begun with a simple mining operation 2 centuries earlier. Humanity hadn't just survived. They had fulfilled their role as the universe's gardeners, creating and nurturing species capable of defending against cosmic extinction. The beacon had been right to wait 70,000 years for humanity's return. When they came back, they brought with them not just their own capabilities, but the love and loyalty of every species they had ever helped create. Together, they had become something greater than the sum of their parts, a force for preservation in a universe too often dominated by destruction. The great work was complete. But an even greater work was just beginning. The universe was vast, filled with wonders and threats beyond imagination. But now, it had protectors who understood that diversity and cooperation were the greatest weapons against entropy and despair. Humanity endured, and with them, everything else could endure as well. The galaxy began its journey to the stars, carrying hope to universes that had never known it was possible to fight back against the darkness. Behind them, the beacon on planetoid KX7739 continued its eternal vigil, now broadcasting a new message to any who might discover it. The builders have returned. The devourers are no more. The galaxy lives, and with it, the promise that intelligence and courage can triumph over any threat. We go now to spread this promise among the stars. Follow us, and know that you are not alone. In the vast darkness between galaxies, new lights began to move. Not the hungry darkness of devourers, but the warm glow of civilizations that had learned they were stronger together than apart. The universe would never be the same. Humanity had kept their promise to their children, and their children had exceeded every dream their parents had ever dared to have.